He's gonna do the questioning. I'm in charge of your tech stuff.
No, I can ask questions better than he can.
Oh yeah, you want to ask yourself some questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
What questions have you got for me?
Why are you growing a beard? Does that say you don't have to wash your face?
No, it's because Heather, when we were dating, told me, hey, you look good with a beard. Grow a beard. And that was almost 10 years ago.
And you believed everything she says?
Yes.
Oh, careful.
I was told if I believe everything my wife says, I'm always going to be wrong, but life will be easier. So far, life is pretty mellow, and I'm always wrong. So
You're never wrong. You just change your mind.
I change my mind a lot, usually after she tells me to.
Well,
So, what'd you guys get up to today?
we went up to the falls. What do they call them?
The Snoqualmie Falls.
Snoqualmie Falls.
We went to the lower falls.
And we seen the water run over the falls and fall to the ground and crash, and come back up as a white bubble, like soap suds, and then we run off. Just like that. Yeah. That's what the water does. But I understand though that they have people on the other side of the mountain that carry the water up in buckets and fills the dam. So the dam is full. Yeah. So the dam is full of water that they can turn it into a hydroelectric plant.
Okay.
Okay, so they get enough water off of that to take care of the hydroelectric plant, and they still got water coming over the falls that's beyond your imagination.
That's a lot of water. That's always been the thing.
And it takes a lot of imagination to think of those guys carrying that water up the hill to fill that dam.
Yeah. We're making jobs.
Yeah, okay, all right. This is all being televised. It's being recorded.
Yeah, I'm recording it on my side too.
Can you hear Mom in the background or no?
No, I cannot.
Okay, and you can hear me just okay?
Yeah, everything's good. Okay.
Okay,
So, thank you for doing this. Happy birthday.
thank you.
You have a
How
job.
many more you got?
How many more? As many as
What
the
are we gonna
good,
do for 100?
as many as the good Lord will give me.
We're taking him skydiving for 100.
I can't commit to
Okay.
I can't commit to anything, but I can make offers.
Okay, I like offers. So, this is something we kind of wanted to do because when I visited you in 2015, I had come from an Amtrak interview and I sat and asked you a lot of questions, kind of got your story, but I didn't record it or anything, so I don't really remember it. And so I was hoping we could go through that again real quick, if you have the time and energy.
What recording were you after then?
That was just, I asked you kind of just your history and stuff, things that I knew tidbits of from when I was a kid, but I never really got to let it sink in. So just, I guess, what's your name and where are you from?
What's my name and where I'm from? My name has always been Emerson. Okay. They used to, as a kid though, before I grew up and grew over the knee height, they called me Cotton.
They called you what?
Cotton.
Cotton? Why did
Yeah,
they call you
because
Cotton?
my hair was real white, and it still is, but that's beside the point.
Did it ever change or was it always white?
Mom.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, if that's where you wanted to know.
Okay.
What was it like?
And it was, watch, I go blank sometimes, which is 90% of it anymore. Okay.
So what was your home like? What was the town and what did your parents do?
What?
What
did your parents do?
My dad was a carpenter and my mother was a housewife.
Okay, so is that what
Okay.
got you into carpentry?
No. That ain't what got me into carpentry. When I was in school, I was going after electronics.
Oh,
But they didn't want me to take electronics. They wanted me to take ancient history. And I told him, no, if you're not going to teach me what I want, then I'm not staying in school. So I left out in the last half of my senior year. I walked off and left my diploma laying there because they didn't teach me what I wanted.
Yeah.
So Daddy says if you're not going to school, you're going to go to work. So I went to work with him.
Okay.
Okay. Then he moved to Florida and I had to tag along because I'm still a juvenile. So that's that part of the history. But after I got in Florida, I decided that cutting yards isn't too bad, but it wasn't quite enough money to make for supporting anybody. So I better find a trade or find something to do. So I joined the carpenters down there as an apprentice, and that was in 1947, I think, 46, 47, 48 maybe. Okay. But I loved roller skating while we was in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. I roller skated a lot up there. So when I went to Florida, I went roller skating for activities, and that's where I met Genevieve, my wife.
You guys met roller skating?
Yeah, I met roller skating too there.
And her.
But I enjoyed it. So.
Grandma.
Her folks went to Youngstown, and I couldn't let her get away, so I went to Youngstown too, and we got married in Youngstown.
And what year was that?
1950, February the 10th of 1950. Okay.
And Grandma used to do roller dance with her cousin, right?
What?
Roller dance with her cousin?
Oh no, she did dancing in high school.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but after that, when she met me, she quit. She gave up dancing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You never took her dancing?
Hmm?
You never took her dancing?
Mm-mm. I danced on skates.
Oh,
We waltzed on skates.
Oh,
It
that's
was
cool.
much better than dancing on the floor.
that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I would break my hip.
What was that?
He would break his
I
hip.
would break my hip trying to waltz on roller skates.
But she used to dance, like tap dance.
Nothing.
Heather taught me to waltz a little bit for our wedding, and I didn't do well at that on normal shoes.
Which church dress was in the way?
There's that. So you moved to Youngstown in 1950.
Right. In 1951, 51, the Korean War broke out, and I was in the National Guards, and they sent me to Fort Polk in Louisiana.
Okay.
And I had enough time in at the time that when time for me to sign up again, I was already married, and I had a baby girl, and my doctor advised me that there's no need for you to get involved in this conflict that they've got going, so don't sign up. So I didn't sign up. So in December of 51, I was discharged, and we had time between then and the April to go back to Ohio, because Ohio was frozen and it was cold, and the work level there at that time probably wasn't open up enough for me to go back to work at. So we came to California for 2 weeks and never left.
Well, why'd you come to California originally then?
Well, that's because her sister was out here, and we
Okay.
come out here to visit with her sister for 2 weeks. But we got out here, and in order for me to have enough money to go back home, I had to go to work. So I went to work and never left.
Okay.
Okay. So then when
So then when you went to work there, were you just
in
carpentering?
52, 53, no, 52, yeah, somewhere, no, 53 it was. In 53, they had that big carpenter strike, and I was offered a job to go to work with a Empire Steel Buildings outfit contractor, and they had a contract for North Dakota. So I took them up on their contract and went to North Dakota. Went up there the day after Randy was born, which was on March the 17th of 54. And I was home by July the 4th, and I had put in the foundations for 95 grain bins up there, 45 by 90. Put in 95 of those things in that length of time. But being a young kid and not knowing what to do, why they gave me the project of taking care of 22 or 24 other kids to help move this material around and build the forms and the slabs for these grain bins. So I did that for a couple of months. But I went up there in March, and we didn't really get to work until probably about the middle of May. But we did a lot of prep work in the month and a half that I was there, waiting to go to work. So we started off in May, and we put in those 45 grain bin, the slabs for those between May and the 4th of July. I was on the bus coming back home. And so I come back home, and I went to work for a track outfit, nailing down sheeting on a roof. And somebody says, well, why don't you come to work over here with me for 3 days? We're putting a concrete tie beam around the gymnasium. So I said, okay, I can do that. And I went over there, and I helped him for 3 days. And 38 to 39 years later, I left that 3-day job.
And what year was that you left?
92.
Okay. Because that's always been something fun when people ask me about you is, my granddad retired the year I was born.
He retired because he knew he needed to spend time with you. Or to bully you.
So then, in that 38 to 39 years, what'd you do? What'd you get up to?
Well, I went to work as a carpenter, and I worked for them about 2.5, 3 weeks, or 2.5 months, maybe something like that. And they shuffled me around from one job to another, and they put me down with another superintendent that was building a small store, and they needed help down there. So the supervisor I was working with said, "You go down there and help this guy out on building this store." So I got down there, and I worked maybe 2 days. And he says, this is all yours. I'm going back to my job, which I've been waiting for the material for. So you got to finish this up. So here I am down there, 25-year-old kid, basically. And they handed me this project and said, it's all yours to do. So I went to work on it. And that's where I stayed with them. So I started off from there and went from that building to another repair job, to another repair job, and they got me another building to work on. And in between the buildings that I was working on, I had repair jobs to take care of. So I was fluctuating between this and that, but it was all commercial banks, schools, churches, and hospitals. No home building, but I knew home building best. So, but it's what I got.
So, after you retired in 92, what did you get up to?
What?
After you retired in 92, what did you get up to?
Oh, well, from 92 to 2004, I was taking care of your grandmother. Okay, she had dialysis, and we were running for those years on a dialysis machine. She'd run every 2 days, 3 days on the weekends. We were getting up at 4 in the morning and taking her for dialysis. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It just seemed a routine, and that's the way the dialysis worked. But it was, something that had to be done, and we did it. So.
So then, tell me about your kids. You mentioned you had a baby girl when you moved.
Yeah. I was 51 basically when she was born. Okay. And Randy was born in 54. So there was about a 3 year difference in age between Randy and Debbie. Okay. And then 10 years beyond that why along come Robyn, because we had adopted her, and a year after we adopted Robyn, or 2 years after we adopted Robyn, why we got a hold of Judy. She was a natural birth, but Robyn was an adopted one, so it worked out where Debbie's birthday, and then 10 years later was Robyn's birthday, Randy's birthday, and 10 years later was Judy's birthday. So that's the way. Basically we raised two different families. Okay, we raised one family for 10 years, then we raised another one for 10 more years. So we had 20 years of raising kids. And then after that, when the kids got married, and we had another 10 years of raising their grandkids. So that took up the cycle of life that we never even considered.
Yeah.
We were going to raise kids for 30 years, but it was well worth it.
Yeah, that was going to be the next one.
Yeah.
So how many grandkids do you have?
Now,
Yeah.
you're asking me to count something that I've forgotten half of?
You don't have to count them, just a rough estimate's fine.
Well, let's see. There was Judy and Randy, and Robyn and Debbie. That's 4 kids.
Okay.
Okay. And let's see. Randy had 2 girls.
Okay.
That's 2. Okay. Debbie had a girl and a boy.
Okay.
That's 4.
Okay.
Judy had 4 kids.
I think.
Is that right?
Yes. She only
So
had 3.
that's 8.
It felt like 17 kids at times
8.
for her.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're at 8. And then Robyn's kids.
And then Robyn had 2. And then she had 3. Yeah.
So that puts
So-
you at 11.
That's 11. 11 grandkids. That's math right there in front of you.
Big number.
Okay.
And I know some of those have kids too.
Uh-huh.
We counted how many boys and girls he
But then-
had last night. He has 10 boys, grandkids and great grandkids, and 10 girls, great and regular grandkids. So he's balanced himself out pretty well.
Yeah.
So,
It's all 50-50. So then, what with your wife? What were your favorite things to do?
well, mine was probably mostly tied up in work, but we had our favorite things is when I'm out of work was we went camping for a couple of days, or we went on a trip someplace, or visited one of the relatives. That was our prime thing. But outside of that, and our church attendance and fellowship memberships, why that kept us pretty busy.
Okay. So then, what was your favorite spot to go camping at?
What's that?
What was your favorite spot to go camping?
Oh, I would say probably Yosemite.
Okay.
Okay, and there or to the beach. So, and as far as trips that we took for some of our vacations, we took a couple of trips to Hawaii and a couple of trips to Mexico, and then we had a couple of trips back east. So there's only about six trips that we made together like that. And then after I retired, Louise's husband passed away. So Jeeve and I and Louise, we made a trip up to Canada and went on up to Jasper and Banff and come back down 395 and back into LA. And we made a trip back east with Louise, and then the trip we had up here to Canada, we was over on Victoria Island, and we spent the night over there. Got up in the morning and left there and drove back over to Jasper, and from Jasper down to Banff. We spent the night in Jasper, and we spent 2 nights, I think, at Lake Louise in Banff. And then we drove down from Banff on 395. And,
A lot of driving.
yeah, what's that?
It's a lot of driving.
Yeah, well, it's all fun. It's all fun. All enjoyed, and we, a lot of sightseeing, and that's what we was doing it for. That.
Do you have a favorite memory of any of those trips?
There's too many memories to count, and as far as being favorite, they were all favorites.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
What's one what's one that stands out? Anything?
What one would stand out the most? Probably the one where we went to Mexico. But
What'd you guys get up to down there?
we went to Mexico with Ron and Wilna and Jabe and I, and we got down there, and we was in a small area. I can't remember the name of the place at the present time, but we was close to the beach, so we went over to the beach to have dinner, and Jeeb wouldn't eat seafood, so she ordered chicken, but we ordered fish. Okay, we had our fish and ate it, and we're still waiting for the chicken. Never got the chicken. So, because it was on the beach, and they sold a lot of seafood, but as far as getting fish or chicken, they never served us any chicken. So we that was one of the what do you want to call it, freaky things that happened on a trip.
So, can I ask about the seagulls?
The what?
The seagulls?
The seagulls.
Yeah, why did you buy Grandma so many seagulls?
Seashells.
Seashells and seagulls. You had a lot
Well,
of seagulls in the house too.
because she liked them for ornaments in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we bought those. and Ed and Debbie was doing a lot of scuba diving, and after they got married, and they picked up seashells and brought them in, so she was making somewhat of a collection of them. That was it.
What about the pelican?
But as far as collecting items, I think our biggest collection items was the Kincaid houses.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and I think they're all at Judy's right now.
Yeah.
Right?
They're either at Mom's or at one of the grandkids. But Mom always told us that you bought her Grandma seagulls because she got pooped on one time.
Oh, that had nothing to do with buying seagulls.
Oh, okay.
Okay, no, we was in Canada, and we stayed overnight on Victoria Island. We got up in the morning to leave, and I went out and got in the truck. We had a truck with a camper shell on it. Got in the truck and pulled it around to the door because it was kind of rainy out. And Louise got out the door, got in the truck, and as Jeeb was coming out the door to get in the truck, why, the birdie was flying over top, and playing bombardier. And we had to take an extra 20 minutes or so to take her back in and get her head washed out and cleaned up. Because the bird, it wouldn't have been so bad, but we were late starting anyway, because this is what generally we was out trying to be out on the road by 8 or 8:30, and we was running close to 9:30, and then they had to stop and go back and get another shower before we left. Why, it was kind of a awkward time, but we managed it all right. But she didn't like seagulls. She didn't like seagulls after that.
Then why'd you keep buying them?
She did. She bought seashells, not seagulls. Okay.
You still had a lot of seagulls in that house.
No, seashells.
Yeah, I know you had
No.
seashells, but I remember a lot of seagulls.
There wasn't that many seagulls in
Oh,
there.
okay.
And what we did get on after that, as far as sea birds.
Seabirds.
Yeah, we got seagulls and a couple of penguins,
Yeah, but
and
Roger was.
we had a couple of parakeets. That was it. I think not much more than that.
So then, through all the years, what was your biggest challenge raising a family?
What?
What was your biggest challenge raising a family?
Keeping up with them.
Yeah.
Because I was off. I had a job on my own, and it took full time. You know, so I'd get up in the morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd get back home at 5:30, 6:30 at night. You know, a salary paid job. You work 8 hours and get paid for a week. So it didn't matter how many hours you put in. You got a salary paid for that week's work. So you didn't get paid by the hour. You get paid by the week, basically. So,
No matter how many hours you end up actually working during the week.
huh?
No matter how many hours you end up actually working, yeah.
Yeah, you was working well over the 40 hours, probably an average of 60 hours a week, and sometimes more than that, 72 hours a week. I've had a few jobs where you get into them and they want it as soon as possible, and there was no price limit. It was opened up, just get it done, but have it done tomorrow. You know, so. When you go to work on a job in Thanksgiving time or period of time, right around Thanksgiving, and you walk off the job at Valentine's Day, which is February the 14th. So from Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day, you've done the job, you've completed it, and you turned in the bill to the owner of a little over $3 million worth of money spent. You had to do something.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of those kind of jobs that, if you didn't have it done by that time, why, they was going to lose a much bigger contract. So whatever you did, you had to make it work within that time frame. So you wouldn't be working one crew at a time. You'd be working 5 to 7 different crews at a time, because you'd have your electricians, you'd have your concrete, you'd have your carpenters, you'd have your plumbers, all of the tradesmen there, and they'd be split to whatever area that they can get into at the time to get it done. But you got to get it done now. We built the company that I work for. We built, I think, 5 or 6 of the Broadway stores in the LA area, Southern California area. Okay, well, the contract on those things was to be poured out of the concrete. The concrete structure was to be poured out in 90 days. All right, these buildings are about 1 city block square. Okay, and they're 4 to 5 stories high. And you're gonna pour them out in 90 days. So you imagine what kind of a crew you have to get that far. So we'd have a crew on each side of each corner of the building. We'd have a crew on each center area in the building. That's to do the perimeter. Okay, the inside we'd have another crew doing slab work, working toward that perimeter. Putting in the elevator shafts, building stairwells, and whatever else was needed to get in. Dumb waiters for the elevators that were in the storage areas. And each area would have a crew for this area and a crew for that area and a crew for this area. And they would work and blend as they went in. This crew would do their part, this crew would do their part. But they would have to be able to blend together to get up the things, and it worked out pretty good. But we were able to get.
Sounds like if they kept you around for 40 years.
Huh?
Sounds like it if they kept you around that long.
Yeah, but I didn't have to get into those other than to assist on some of the projects. But because they had a different superintendent. They was more supervisor, a little older than I was, that had a whole lot more experience in that type of work. But my work never got into that class. I got into some pretty good class of work, but I never got into that class.
Ever have another kid? She had all you guys' crap.
I was on one job that we did, and we was on the finish up the job because they had sent me over there to supervise while they was doing the finish of the electrical. It was in the college building. They went. I was there to supervise the electrical and check the chemistry labs and that kind of stuff to see that the material was going in and that they had the trays right and the number of people that were on the job and that kind of stuff. And I got a call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're gonna leave that job and you're gonna go to Long Beach State and pick up that job. Well, I left that job with maybe 15 to 20 guys on it at the college, and I went to Long Beach State and I walked into a job with 75 to 80 guys on it.
Oh my gosh.
Overnight, from this to that, and that's because the superintendent who was on that job got knocked off of the scaffold with a concrete pump. I kicked off the concrete pump, the hose on the concrete pump, kicked him, and it flew him off the scaffold.
Oh my gosh.
And so I ended up down there for about 2.5, 3 months maybe. And he was able to come back to work, but he lost 3 days of his memory. He doesn't know what happened to it.
Well, he fell.
Yeah. It's like getting hit in the head and you not know why.
Yeah.
So,
But that's
scary.
yeah. But I have been very well blessed.
Definitely.
speaking of
So then, go ahead,
speaking of blessings, do you want to talk about the Cavina house?
The what?
The Cavina house, the Gragmont house, and Gragmont.
What about it?
Well,
We bought it in 1954 when Randy was, just before Randy was born. Actually, we bought it in 53. We didn't get to move in until 54. Yeah.
So you moved in 54, and how long were you there?
Well, I sold it in 2018. So 68 years. About.
Yeah.
64. Excuse me, 64 years.
It's a long time.
Do you remember what you paid for the house,
Yeah.
Dad?
What's that?
Do you remember how much you paid for the house?
Yeah.
$5,300 or $5,800?
No, I paid more than that. We bought the house for about $9,000.
It's weird. That's so weird.
do you remember?
We were looking at a house today that was $460,000.
Yeah.
Do,
You went to see one today for that?
$460,000 house.
No, we just thought about it,
Yeah.
do,
dreaming,
okay.
but nothing more.
Well, we just had one up here next door to us that the Billings had bought because it was kind of an old rundown place and the people were not very good caretakers, let's put it that way. And they put it up for sale, and when the Billings had put 2 houses in up here, remodeled 2 houses up here in the area, and this one was right next door to it, so they bought it and revamped it and tore it all apart, went back and redid the whole interior of it, put all new siding on the outside, put a new roof on it, did the concrete work on the outside, refurbished the yards, finished the yards all over, and so they basically redid a whole house and put it back up for sale again. But
I'm not doing it. Well, maybe if I sold it, but I'm not selling it.
it matches or complies with the houses that are in the area.
Don't qualify.
before this one was
If I refinance and they did an appraisal,
what you would call maybe a rundown shack.
but the appraisal.
I mean, it was really tore apart,
Which are
and
refinanced.
it was a sore eye for the neighborhood.
Refinance it
So
anyway. My house.
they invested the time and the money and the energy,
That's what I did.
and revamped the house and
God's
refinished it.
like, no, you can't.
and-
You don't qualify.
Got it ready just before Christmas, and 2 weeks before Christmas they put it on the market,
My interest rate is
and
like
it was on the market a week, and they had an offer, and they were waiting for some more offers, but they didn't get any before Christmas. But right after Christmas, they got an acceptance on the offer that they had made, that was made, and sold. Just that
You know how
quick.
much it sold for?
Yeah. So and they just signed the papers for the final signing of the papers was done just last night. So. You know,
Crazy how fast it goes now.
in 6 months or 7 months, something like that, where they refurbished the whole house and put it back up for sale. So,
And it's
Do
really
you
pretty.
ever miss doing that kind of work?
what?
Do
That
you
was
ever
it.
miss doing that kind of refurbished work?
No, not at all. Every day was interesting. Every day was every day. You knew pretty well what you're going to do, but there's always something that would crop up that was not planned. Always.
I understand that.
So, but if you know your business, you'll know pretty well where that's going to happen and when. So, and it's like the place that we moved in up here. We moved in. We didn't have a stove. We didn't have a dishwasher. We didn't have a refrigerator. Okay. Those things were dated to come in within a month. Okay. We got the stove probably a month and a half to 2 months after the date. We got the dishwasher another month and a half or so later than that. And we're still waiting on a refrigerator, which is promised to us in the middle to the end of February now. They have it in stock, so they're going to get it back.
They just got word on it
But-
today that they should have it either sooner or by February 19th, I think is what Maddie said.
But this stuff was ordered. All of this stuff was ordered in March of last year.
Oh man,
But
that's
it's my
so
taxes
long.
and my insurance.
Yeah, just to get the appliances.
So it's all of those.
Yeah.
Do you pay your separate?
But in this house here, they have completely rejuvenated. They went inside, tore out a lot of the partitions between the living room and the kitchen, redid a complete kitchen, redid the 3 baths and the bedrooms, put in, cleaned up the heating and air conditioning system, got it working where it's right, and put in a new flooring in the whole place throughout, repainted the thing, and painted the outside, and put a patio out here and a driveway, cement driveway in
I know, but it was, I could
from,
do it.
I guess about March of last year until July.
Come in at 300,000, would raise my taxes.
Maybe it's a little bit longer than that, but about 5 months, they had done all of that work. We moved up here in July, the 1st of July, we moved in here.
Raise my
And
tax payments.
we
It would raise my value.
got things settled down and got ourselves adjusted, so we're staying for a while.
Good.
When they do their comps.
So then let's turn it back a little bit. So back to your childhood and stuff. When you were a teenager, what kind of trouble did you get into?
When what?
You were a
When you were
teenager.
a teenager, what kind of trouble were you getting into?
What kind of, I was, let's see, during the war, I was still in high school, just getting into high school, or a couple of a grade or so into it. I was working
Yes, but now it's
in a boiler factory with hot water tanks and that kind of stuff. So I didn't have time to get into trouble that way.
I'm hanging in
But
there.
the trouble, and the other side of that coin was when I wasn't working there and was in school during the school season. Why I worked in a bookstore, and the only and the only trouble we got into there was between the school and where I was going to work, sitting on the trolley, we would play cards, play knuckles with cards, and if you lost, well, you got hit on the back of the knuckles with a deck of cards. You know what they are. Okay, so and that was the biggest trouble I think we got into. And outside of roller skating on the weekends or Friday and Saturday night, why that was about it. But as far as being into any kind of trouble where you'd have a record or anything like that, no, it wasn't our cup of tea. Okay, so we weren't into any trouble there.
Good.
How is your relationship with your siblings?
Yes. Let me tell you what happened.
What was that?
How is your relationship with your siblings?
My brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Well, just like any other family, brothers and sisters, we have our squabbles, we have our good times, we have our bad times. But I would have to say they were fairly good.
Yeah. How many siblings did you have? How many siblings did you have?
How many?
Yeah.
Let's see, I got 2 sisters and 3 brothers.
Are you the youngest?
No, I'm in the middle of the group. There's Carl, Albert, me, Marvin, Janie, and Marilyn.
Okay.
My credit's great. Her credit's working.
And did they end up in California, or did they stay back in Michigan?
So see what I mean? There's another factor that's
No. When we moved from Michigan to Pennsylvania was the same year that the Prohibition was going on, 1929. Okay, and the Saint Valentine's Day massacre was at that time. Now I was born on the 29th of January. Saint Valentine's Day massacre was on the 14th of February. Okay, and my mother talks about us leaving Michigan on the 14th of February to go to Pennsylvania, because during the Prohibition, my dad was like everybody else with alcohol. He was mixed up with getting alcohol from Canada into Michigan, and they'd come across the lake, and the lake would be frozen. So that's as close of a story as I can give you as to when time was or what was going on. But that was the year that I was born, and that was the time frame that I was born in. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and she keeps saying I was 3 to 4 weeks old at the time that they were leaving Michigan to go back to Pennsylvania. And Marvin was born in Pennsylvania. Marilyn, Janie was born in let's see, I believe. I believe in Tunkhannock. Marvin was born in Tunkhannock, and that's where the hospital was anyway. And Marilyn, but Janie was when we went to Florida. She was 15 years. No, she was
I did the Parent Plus loan for Jacob when he went to college.
for about 6 years younger than I am.
My problem.
Earlier, she was born 6 years after me. Marvin was born about a year and a half after me. But at one time, during that cycle of our births between Carl, Albert, myself, and Marvin, we could count them this year, that year, right down the line, 27, 28, 29, and 30. But it was only for like a 2 months or 3 month period in the cycle, because of our birthday dates the way they were. It hit. We had 4 kids, one every year. But your part,
Paid me about
it was kind of an odd thing.
less than what I normally bring home every month.
That's kind of fun though.
So we're hurt.
So then, a little further back to the roller skating. Then, once you met Grandma, what was your wedding and your proposal to her like?
At my house.
What's that?
87.
What was your proposal and your wedding to Genevieve like?
Well, let's see. When I was skating in Florida and I met her, I was skating with her cousins, and she was there at the same time. And I went to ask one of them to skate with me, and you know how you're wobbling around on your skates, and I spun around like this. And when I spun around like this, I caught her on the cheek with my hand.
Oh no.
Okay,
Quite a meet cute.
and that was the climax that started everything.
I've applied for it about 3 times.
Okay.
So how did you end up proposing to her?
I will tell you that at the nursing home, they hired me and said,
I guess it might be say it's kind of a two-way type of thing.
Okay.
Okay, I had taken. We had been skating. This was just
3 years ago.
in
Just gave me
47, 48, 47, because
So I just
early part of 47,
fighting
we were skating, and I had met her, so I decided I made a dinner date with her to take her out for the movies, and we go for dinner after the movies. But to do that, I had to have the car. Well, the car that I had was the one that we used for work, and it was an old 1931 Chevy. Okay, there was no seats in the car. There was an old barber chair to sit in for the driver's seat, and there was an egg crate to sit on for the passenger. The rest of the car was degutted and used as a toolbox. Everything we needed was in the car, and that was our transportation. Okay, and if we went by a gas station and didn't put water in the radiator, we weren't going to go very far. Okay. So I pulled up to her place where she lived in Coral Gables, or her folks lived in Coral Gables, and I was going to take her to go out, and her dad stepped out the door, and he looked at that car, and he says, "And you're going out with that?" You know, and I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "No, sir." He says, "You're not." So he reaches in his pocket. This is how generous that gentleman was. He reaches in his pocket and he hands me the keys to a 1938 Packard. Okay. 8-cylinder Packard. And he says, "Be home on time."
Were you home on time?
Huh?
Did you get home on time?
Oh, at 10 o'clock at night. It was time. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all he said to me, just be home on time. But wonderful parents she had. Really wonderful parents. They were generous in every way. Her mother had arthritis really bad. She had a full blood transfusion to help get rid of it. At the time, there still are, as far as that I know, combating the problem with arthritis. But she had arthritis, and he had a smoking habit. Is just, 3 to 4 packs a day. No problem at all for him. And but he ran a coal yard in Ohio, ice and coal. A coal yard for ice and coal. He sold coal in the wintertime and ice in the summertime for the residents in Ohio. So, but he was repairing one of the gas tanks on one of the trucks, and they took it off the truck, went over on the side to repair the leak in it, and they neglected to fill it full of gas or of water to do the welding, because the tank itself was a gas tank, so the odors and the fumes in the thing was there, and he struck the side of that tank where it was leaking to bullet shot, and that tank blew up. He was burned over 2/3 of his body
Oh, wow.
at the time, and but that's and he was recuperating from that. He had sold the business after that, and he was recuperating from that. And when we was in Florida, after I had met Genevieve, and we had met, we ended up working on the same track of homes together. Him and I, we worked together for a while. And his birthday was on the 28th of January. Mine is on the 29th of January.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of an odd thing, but that's the way it happened.
Yeah. So then, did you learn a lot from him then? Like, as a spouse, like how to be a spouse from him?
What?
From Genevieve's father, did you learn like how, like, as an example, was he teaching you how to be a good spouse in generosity?
Oh, I can't really say that,
Okay.
but because you know we were young adults, and they were very liberal people in what they are. They were believers, yes, but they freedom to us at that time was much more liberal because we didn't have to fight with all of the drugs that we have today. You know, we didn't have to fight with the belligerent attitudes that they have today. You know, everybody seemed to be able to get along pretty easy because we had just gone through that 4.5 or 5 year war. You know, and we had bonded quite a bit. As a nation, we had bonded quite a bit, and our relationship with relatives around us or people around us was a lot different. You can't even begin to imagine the strain that has to be on the politicians today because the lack of that cooperation or to go along to get along or to go along to help along is pretty well gone, you know. And if you said something to me, well, I gotta retaliate to that saying, so I'm going to blast you. And we didn't have that problem. It didn't feel like we had that problem.
Yeah, you can actually have a conversation.
Yeah, right, yeah. So the relationships were quite a bit different. But after he got working that one particular project that we worked together with in Florida, he went to work selling Sara Lee's bread and pastries and that kind of stuff, and a delivery route. So he had done that. And when I was in the service, I come home from that, and I had left Ohio, or left Miami, and come to California for a 2-week stay with Louise and Ray. Okay, and then I was going to go back to Ohio to go to my job that I had in Ohio. The job was waiting for me because they took me off of the job with the National Guard, but the job was assured that if I come back, I'd have my job. So it was an assurance. But in December, when my discharge was given up, we went back to Florida, and we stayed in Florida for till the end of the Christmas season. Right after that, we left and we came to California. And between January and April, we was in California. Well, in April, they had come to California. Okay, and I still had the job in Ohio. Then I was still working on going back, but because they had come to California, we decided we would stay an extra month or whatever till they got settled in. Okay, when they had no more than got in California, and within a month after they got here, Marginal, which was her sister, or her brother and his wife, had come to California. So we had no reason to go back to Ohio.
Okay.
So we stayed in California.
I always wondered about that because when we were younger, I remember going over to a couple different aunts and uncles' house from your guys' siblings and everyone, and it was just like I always wondered how everyone got to be so close together.
How everyone got to be so close together?
Yeah, because everyone seemed to be like within like half an hour.
Oh, in California.
Well, I'm hoping to hang in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ray and Louise bought a place in El Monte. So when we come in, we went to their place. They was in El Monte. We got an apartment in El
Well, no,
Monte.
that's true.
And
But they've already gone up so high they don't go
when
down below where they
her folks moved out here, we got them an apartment in El Monte. Because it was within a mile, probably a mile and a half from where they were. So they weren't that far away, you know. And they were like us. They moved into a strange community, a strange area. You don't know where you're going or who's what or where, you know. So we kind of migrated into the same spot, and from that, why then
So you got your phone fixed?
we had bought.
Does he have any questions?
Jeeb and I had bought the house in Covina, which from El Monte to Covina is about, what, 8-9 miles, something like that. Okay, so we had bought a house out there, and her dad and mother were still in El Monte, but they were living in a small 2 to 3 bedroom apartment type cottage thing, small home.
Are you home?
Okay, so they bought a place in Baldwin Park, which was halfway between El Monte and Covina. Okay, so that's how I got into that. Then Marge and Owen, when they come out and they got where they wanted to settle, they went to the east side of Covina, over off of Grand Avenue. So we're all pretty much in the same area.
And so Aunt Judy bought tickets to come.
Cool.
She's
Yeah.
from Ontario.
And then Raymond's folks, he had some relatives out here, and they were in Temple City. So we stayed in a fairly close, relatively close area.
Okay.
She did. Anyways, and so.
So then, when you got married to Genevieve, where did you get married at?
At Youngstown, Ohio, in the home that they had there.
Judy, what's the name of those?
Nice big 3-bedroom, 3-story house with probably 12 to 16 rooms in it. A monstrous place. Yeah. Well, they had a 4-car garage out on the back
What is it?
of the house. So
Snow Call Me? Snow Call Me.
Okay.
False.
So who was your best man and Genevieve's maid of honor?
a kid by the name of Bob Zimmerman.
Generally,
And he went to
How did you
school.
Bob?
but it's absolutely stunning.
I didn't know him. I didn't know him other than that Genevieve had known him in school. They went to the same school. Okay. And her best friend was her bridesmaid, and they were from the same school. So that's how that happened there.
Okay.
But one of her best friends, girlfriends, had a boyfriend that was in the Marines and discharged, and he come home. And when he was home, he tried to convince me to join the Marine Reserves. Okay, and I said no, I'll stay where I'm at. Okay, and that was probably around Halloween time of the year, July, August, September, somewhere along in there. He wanted me to join the Marine Reserves. Instead, I was already in the Army Reserves, and I said no, I'll stay where I'm at. And when the Korean conflict broke out with the Marine Reserves and what Ed was in, it broke out right around Christmas time, a week or so before Christmas. Okay, at Christmas time, he was sitting in Japan in his civilian clothes, no military equipment or anything. They picked him up and flew him to Japan and set him on the beach and said, "Wait for your equipment."
Wow.
But they took a whole bunch of Marines that were retired and formed a unit and put them over there and set them on the beach and said, "Wait." And then They got there before the equipment did. When the equipment come in, they got them dispersed, got them all signed up, and sent them off to North Korea.
Yeah. Anyways, let me
He
know.
was never able to come back from North Korea.
Okay,
All right. And then ask your brother to show you.
Aunt Robyn has Zack on the phone, so I think we're gonna take a little break.
Wait.
I talked to your brother earlier, didn't I?
There he goes. Here goes. Here
Yeah.
goes. Here goes. He's
Hold
coming.
on, hold on.
There he is.
There he is. There he is.
Hi, sweetheart.
Yeah, here. I'm gonna flip you around so you can see the screen and the kids can see you.
Scott and Heather.
Scott and Heather. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Say hi.
Can you see that clear enough?
This is Meta.
Here, let's lift
This
it
is
up.
technology on technology on technology.
Yeah.
There, you can see Zack.
So what do you call that? Tech on tech on tech.
Okay.
After the Matrix now.
And then I
We
can
can't
my
leave.
reflection too in the corner.
And you can see his reflection in the corner. That's hilarious.
Hey.
Okay. All righty.
Hi, sweetheart.
How you doing, kid?
There
Hi,
he is.
Grandpa. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Glad you called. I appreciate that very much. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I know you guys can't see my
Are
T-shirt.
you still
it
hitting
says-
the ball straight or just letting
They
it
can see you
fly
now.
where it will?
Yeah, I'm still hitting the balls.
Straight.
You.
You've got control of it.
I've lost some yardage, but I've been more consistent with going straight rather than shaking it.
It's gonna be 52.
Okay. All right.
So before I would be able to get like 210 range going, left or right. Going just straight, I'm about at 170.
But
So I need to practice more.
right. Okay. But if you go 170, if you go high, then you're bombing it. If you go the other way and you go the 200, 250 yards or whatever, you're driving it. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And if you're going with the driving range, it's going to be lower. It's going to hit the ground and roll. If you go with the bombing range, it's going to go up and come down and stop.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, sweetheart. Well, he's doing an
Okay.
interview, so I just wanted to make sure that you got to say hi.
I'm in the middle of a news interview here. They've called EWL, station EWL.
Emerson
Wayne
Lutes station. Yeah,
from Puyallup, Washington.
Yep.
Okay, so that's our station and that's our call sign.
Okay.
Okay.
Before you sign off, one more thing. Tell Grandpa where you hiked.
Oh, I hiked when I went to Portland last year. I hiked Mount Olympus.
Mount Olympus.
Uh-huh.
Oh, great! We just seen it down at the harbor.
That's what I said. We sat
Yeah.
across at dinner.
It's so gorgeous. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
and you can hiking there.
yeah. We went up to the falls today, and it was a pretty nice place up there too.
Yeah.
The country around here is pretty beautiful.
Oh, I know. I love
Yeah.
it. That's why I'm actually kind of mad at my mom that she didn't invite me over there because I would have loved to come to Washington.
I love you, darling.
Okay, well the door's always open.
Thank you,
Okay.
Grandpa. I promise you I will visit soon. I will visit you this year.
Okay, well as long as I got 2 feet, it'll stand up and hold me up.
We got you,
The
we got
door's
you,
always
Dad.
open.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much, Grandpa.
Thank you.
I love you,
with
sweetheart.
I love you too, Mama.
Thanks.
Happy birthday,
Take care.
Grandpa.
All right.
Mom.
Bye, babe.
Thanks again, honey.
Bye. How great you were able to get the phone. That's great.
That's cute.
That was awesome.
That was lovely.
How about that?
So, that was super cute.
Amy's the one
I like Zach. I'm glad his drive is straight and far. I straightened my drive out, but that's
She has been.
I can't get the distance back.
Well,
I go straight or far. I can't do both though.
yeah, but the game is not in how far you can hit the ball.
Yeah.
It's how good you are on the green.
Like I said, she got tested. The test was negative.
I'm pretty good on the green, thankfully. You really got that one into my head.
Yeah, but the approach from that drive to getting on the green and the little bit of putting you got to do on the green. As long as you can keep that under the par putt, the 2-putt system, you can pretty well hold your game together. But
That's what I did the last time we played. I had a really good 35-foot putt that made me feel like I learned something.
you made it right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm
But
bad at everything.
you
but
have to
putting-
learn. You have to learn how the lay of the grass lays, and the blade of the grass. If it's turned, it always turns with the sun.
Yeah, that was something you taught me, and then it's always kind of stuck in my head because I never thought about it, but it's been kind of fun
Yeah, and it's
to realize.
yeah, but it's a minor thought that you just look over because you just see the grass. So it's grass, and it looks pretty nice. But forget that if
So
you.
great.
It's the hide on the feathers on the chicken. If they're not ruffled, you got a pretty smooth shot. But if they're ruffled, it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. So then, throughout all of your years, do you have any traditions like holiday traditions that you always have to do, or something that Grandma or the kids want to do?
We had a tradition, you might say, because we have a group of us, about 5, maybe 6 families, or maybe even 7 sometimes. But during the 3-day holiday weekends and stuff like that, we'd rent a cabin at either Lake Arrowhead or Big Bear or someplace, and the whole clan would move into that cabin for the 3-day weekend. So we'd have between 15 to 20 people in a cabin for the weekend.
Oh wow,
I-
So,
sounds like a lot of cards.
yeah. But it was a lot of fun because we played cards. So we had canasta games and had
Mom said, "Well, that's not
played golf on the weekends. One day out of the weekend we played golf.
That anxiety kicked in.
I never got
Then
my
it was
turn."
the rest of the time was lamenting about the good times we're having.
And I still don't snow ski now because I never
Trying to
learned.
soak it all in.
Grew up.
Okay.
That's what I was going to tell you. Do you remember
So
that
then,
time?
what's
I
been your
totally
favorite thing
remember
about being a grandparent?
that.
What's that?
What's been your favorite thing about being a parent and a grandparent?
Well, they're both favorites.
What's your favorite
Okay.
thing?
Being a parent, well, you got all of the privileges that you've had in your lifetime, and you try to pass them on to your kids. Okay, being a grandparent, you're just trying to do that doubly.
Yeah.
So,
So then, at what point when did you get into golf? Let's go there.
after Genevieve had passed away, we played.
Yeah.
We played. Maybe 2 times a year or 3 times a year prior to that, and that basically didn't start or happen until 1972 was the first game of golf I played.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, thanks.
and we played it at San Clemente Beach,
Oh, yeah.
at the course down there.
This one never cracks.
Okay, and then the rest of the games that I played of any
I know, this is so great. I'll be back when I can use your ice maker.
consequences was probably in San Bernardino or up at Big Bear in a cow pasture.
Okay.
Okay, and that was until Genevieve had passed away, and after that, well, then I started to play at Azusa Greens and the different local courses around there, and we would make arrangements when the church would have a golf tournament, or the fire department would have a golf tournament, or the police department would have a golf tournament, the special tournaments where we just go and play and make a contribution for the fun of playing. But it's also for the arrangement of competition between the different groups, and we're all probably pretty much in the same Duffers group. Then there's a few that played for the money and the game of it, but let them fly. We don't care about them. We're out there to have a good time and enjoy ourselves, and laugh at our blunders.
I gotta have ice cubes.
I'm fairly good at that. So then, I got one last question for you that I've always kind of wanted to ask my whole life.
Ice cold
What was your first thought when you met my dad?
hot water in the morning.
Oh, you don't
When
want
you
to
met
know.
Roger?
Oh no, we want to know.
No, you don't want to know that.
I'm quite that extreme.
I've always wanted to know. Come on.
You don't want to know that.
Dad, answer the question, please.
What's the question?
What was
Judy,
Grandpa's
leave the room.
What, Mom? You have to leave the room. What was Grandpa's first thought when he met Roger? We all care to know.
You see why I said you don't want to know, Judy?
Oh.
Huh?
Yeah, Judy, leave.
What were his thoughts when he first met Roger?
Was it that he was a troublemaker?
He was no more than a kid to me, in the aspects of what he was, but he smoked. That didn't settle down with me very well.
Yeah.
His language wasn't the top of the encyclopedia, and it still ain't. So I kind of had somewhat of a wait and see attitude,
Yeah.
because I didn't have somebody choose who I was going to go out with, So my kids had the same privilege. They don't have to have my choice to make an acceptance to somebody. They make their own exceptions, and I hope you do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that because that got us here.
But you do what you have to do, and you do what is right. That's the main thing, okay? And you do what you want to do, because if you're going to do something that you don't want to do, you're going to turn your back and walk away from it.
Did you?
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, so but if you want to do something, you've got your mind set up. Your desires are going the same way that you want to go, and that it makes up your desires also. So enough of my preaching for now.
In reference to Dad, did you ever warm up to him?
What?
Did you ever warm up to our dad?
Oh yeah.
What do you think of him now?
I used him on my job for what, 3 or 4 years or 5
Yeah.
years, something like that.
Yeah. But what do you think about him now?
You want to know that again?
Yup.
I do.
He's
He's
not
a
here.
good man.
He's a good man.
He's a good man. Okay. He's got his idiosyncrasies, but we all have something.
Yeah.
Even I have one of twiddling my thumbs, It's still
tap my foot.
What's that?
And I tap my feet.
Yeah, I twiddle my thumbs a lot. So, and the other thing is, I live with good intentions. They're all good intentions, but they never happen. I'm going to do
So
that
then, I
someday.
guess-
Huh?
go ahead.
Somebody tells you you're going to go see them. I'll be over to see you shortly, but shortly is it's just not long enough or it's too long.
You got to keep it vague.
Yeah, right. It's very, very, very simple to slip away from. But life has
Eventually.
that many slivers in it that you can't keep up with them. So,
Definitely.
so you set your choice to do the best you can with the ability that you have.
So
Okay, wait. Okay,
he's got Amy on the phone.
go.
Okay. Who am I after now?
It's Amy.
Hi, Amy. Hi.
She's sick. I said, can I put you on the video phone? She goes, no, I'm sick.
We don't mind.
What did she say she was?
It's Amy.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
yeah.
she's sick. She's been tested, but she's sick. So she doesn't want to do the video, Dad.
There she is,
No,
yeah.
she asked. There she is. All right, sweetheart. We'll let you go. I just wanted to make sure you got to talk to Grandpa.
Are you taking care of things at the house?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's your right attitude. Just let it go.
We're trying.
Yeah.
We're
Just,
getting through it.
yeah, right.
Yes, you
Okay.
are, baby. You're doing a good job.
Okay.
All
Good,
right.
Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, I'm really proud of her.
Okay.
She's adulting well.
All right. Good deal, baby.
Yeah.
You take care and enjoy.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you. Hope to see you shortly.
Soon. You'll come with me soon, okay?
Okay, honey.
All right, bye,
Bye-bye.
sweetheart. Thanks, Grandpa. Sorry, you guys.
It's all good.
All right, that's all three of mine. He's talked to all three of mine. We're all good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then before I let you go to bed, there's one more that my dad wanted me to ask you, and it's so.
Your
how
dad.
raising
Your,
a family would have
who-
been different without God's guidance.
wait a minute now. Who's making these questions? You or your dad?
All of the above.
Oh, a bunch of people.
All of us,
Combined, huh?
mostly me.
Are you trying to put me in a trap?
Well, we
No,
had to
no,
cut.
no.
We had to try and cut some questions down because Karen was asking like, would you rather have the ability to breathe underwater like a fish or fly like a bird? We decided that was a little against the point.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. We wanted to focus more on you and your history.
Okay, all right.
So he has got one more question for you, and we'll let you go to bed.
So then, how would raising your family have been different without God's guidance?
What's that?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, okay.
How would have raising your family been different without God's guidance?
I don't know.
You don't know?
'Cause God's always been with me.
Yeah. You don't even think about
So
it?
how do you know? How do you separate God from you, from yourself? You know, He says, "I and you and me."
Yeah.
You know, He says, "If you come unto me, I will come unto you." Okay, so, and if that's the case, you know, and every time you see Him or you hear Him calling, He says, "Come unto me, come to me, come to me." Every case that you get into, even to your thoughts when you're thinking about it, He says, "Come to me." Don't try to make your own decisions, but listen to me. Listen. And what does He say in that? What is He saying? When He asks you to listen, to be the very best you can be.
Well, like nursing is both.
And I think on that note, that's...
Did you miss that?
No, but on that note, I think that's a really good spot to stop for tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. One last thing, and it's just me. I just want to happy birthday. I just want to thank you for everything. Like I told you a couple months ago, that you've been such a big influence in my life and everything. Like you're the reason I have any interest in science. You're the only reason like I know about the James Webb Telescope and Hubble and everything that's up in space. Stem from you giving me your Popular Science and Mechanics magazines way back when I was in like 3rd and 4th grade. So I just want to thank you so much for the influence that you've had on me.
And you remembered that?
Yeah.
And
So my soft, gentle voice
You
didn't
made me a
stop,
nerd.
didn't go right over your head.
no, it didn't go over any of our heads.
Okay, but you know, if I had yelled at you, you'd have forgot it right away.
That's why I don't know anything my dad's ever told me.
I don't know. I think Ross remembers the time that you yelled at him for quitting a game.
A set employee.
You know, quick things.
I yelled at Ross for quitting the game.
Mm-hmm. You went as far as giving him a nice hit.
Well, and travel nurses, we pay them better than our hired.
I had a reason for it.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us, Grandpa. I really appreciate it.
It's my fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna try and make our way up there pretty soon here, but
You should.
Oh.
It's a lot of
Pandemic
fun.
dependent.
There's a science museum somewhere around here that you guys could go to, or go to National Park. Well, there's a glass museum too, but I know you want
But
science.
we'll let you get to bed. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah, they're going to get out early in the morning, about 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
So,
because Aunt
I might
Robyn
get out of bed at 9 o'clock.
Aunt Robyn has to be at the airport by 9:50.
sunrise doesn't happen up here until between 7:30 and 8.
Oh, it's lovely.
Oh my gosh, that's too late for me.
Right. And the fog don't lift until about 10.
Oh, that's cool.
We would.
We'll have to come see it.
And the temperature stays well below 50.
Oh my gosh, we had a high of 70. That's too cold.
You're cold.
Well, it goes from 50 down to about 20 at night sometimes.
Oh no.
But that's
I think our low is
that's a
50
full
tonight.
day's range. You know, we get up in the morning and the temperature says it's 20 to 25 degrees, but at 4 o'clock in the afternoon it's reached 45, maybe 50.
It's too cold.
It's still cold, right? Yeah.
Sounds like the mountain we lived on.
That's why I'm wearing the flannel sheepskin
Oh.
jacket here.
I've missed
Yeah.
flag all
Okay.
the
But
entire time
I'm
we're here.
older and my blood is thinner and I'm wearing out.
Yeah, I put on a lot of blubber to keep me warm, and now it's too much.
Her Phoenix.
I have coming up here next month, sometime in next month. You know I have a fibrillator, okay, and it's got 2 leads off of it that leads to the heart. Okay, now I have been about 2.5 months, 3 months, talking to the electrocardiologist, and they're getting all of the exams ready to put another wire or 2 wires onto that fibrillator into the bottom side of my heart instead of just the top side.
Oh, wow.
So what
So-
I'm hearing
So
is
we're instead of being
Well, if, as a supervisor.
a two-wired band, like a 110 volt system, I'm going to have like a 40 volt system.
We're going to get you going quick.
so what we're hearing is you're one more step closer to being an actual robot.
No.
No? You're-
I can't be an actual robot until I learn to manipulate my fingers on that phone.
What we'll do, we'll just put a little port in your finger and you'll just plug into it and it'll just work with your brain.
Okay, good enough. Good enough. Can't ask for anything better. Can't ask for anything better than that. I enjoyed the conversation. I really did.
All right.
Thank you. It was so much fun. I really appreciate you letting us do this. It was great.
I'm glad we finally did get to do it.
Yeah. There again, it falls under the category of necessity. It's something you got to do from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can do another
Okay.
one next year.
So, something like that. Yeah.
Next time Creyshana's up, I'm gonna make her lug everything up there again.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we'll sit down,
You
find
admit
out
that
more
we
stories.
kept you up too late, but we love you very much and we miss you
Okay.
tremendously.
I love you too, kid.
Okay, I'll see you guys next week.
Okay.